Cup gas. Wake up, because the Back Yourself podcast is back in action after some technical difficulties and a bit of annual leave and a late upload of the review of last weekend.
But it doesn't matter.
We are back in the lab, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies for those that were so keen to see us preview Knights and Roosters. It didn't happen this week. That is the first podcast episode that we have missed combined.
I want to say
probably over 20 months.
I apologize, my friend. I'm very sorry.
You got nothing to be sorry about, mate, because as I have alluded to multiple times, these guys do nothing for us anyway.
I don't know. They have been recently.
They have been recently. So appreciate the love and the support and all those messages, especially from shout out to my Waz fans asking for our whereabouts. We are back and you got nothing to worry about. We will be back talking footy week in, week out, twice, maybe 3 times a week if you're lucky. In saying that, welcome back, Christopher. I'm sure you were quite upset to not be doing the podcast this week because it has really become part of our routine.
Well, you know what's interesting? If the 1 week we don't do a preview, I'm sure it would have been entertaining because we literally would have got every game right by the last one.
The beauty of the NRL, Chris, is that...
Actually, no, maybe not.
Every single week, there is a lot to look forward to as far as the preview goes.
I want to say, if we actually did our preview, I don't know how much we would get right.
Probably not much.
Because we would literally say the first 2 games don't even show up.
Yeah.
And both of them ended up covering.
And we ended up taking both the underdogs.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of those where your initial, all right, we didn't do the preview, but obviously Chris and I, we talk every other day. So early on in the week, it was mainly that might be 200-0 in your favour. And Dragons, you shouldn't even play another game for the remainder of the season, which you did prove us right. But as far as actually betting goes... we kind of flipped along with the market because it just kept moving and moving and moving and moving.
I feel like this week, a lot of cunts were really bored.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, just taking favourites. Like, literally, the whole round.
Yeah,
because there was a big shift across 3 games that went from 10 to 12,
for no reason.
Even one of them, the Sharks one, which we'll get to, literally Atkinson got ruled out for Rudolph, which is a downgrade in my eyes, and they literally still went to 12.
Well, that's debatable. So you had 10.5 in the Sharks game that closed at 12. You had 8.5 in Manly, which closed at 12. You had 5.5 in the Roosters game, which closed at 10. And today you just stayed at 7 or 8, which it doesn't matter when the Souths are involved.
Agreed.
And in the end, another round where 4 underdogs cover and only 1 favourite covers, which was the one that I actually alluded to on the review of last round being how the fuck are Dolphins 1.5? Which I don't think you'll be seeing those morons 1.5 much longer. But before we get to the Dolphins, we have to go to PointsBet Stadium on Thursday night with the Dragons. Shout out to the Zarafos brothers.
You going to give them a shout out?
This might be your last one of the year. After that second half from your mighty Red V Dragons. Going up possessed at halftime. 12-6 was the score, I want to say. And then having 24 straight points run off. And UConn essentially had no fucking resistance once that started occurring. So, Chris, are the Sharks back for you?
No.
After giving up against the Wild?
Oh, no. They're not back at all. It's just... Sharks is really not much to say. It's literally same old, same old. They play like shit again, and they get away with it. Literally, they play like garbage. The first half was awful. The second half was not them being good, and I want everyone to know that. Obviously, I love my Sharks, but I'm off them at this point because of last week. But overall, I don't think they showed me enough to say they're back and they bounce back and they're so good. Little do they know next week that's what's going to happen because I've seen the future with these idiots. But no, they weren't good. They weren't good actually at all, to be honest.
How long did they try for?
10 minutes. And Dragons.
Against Dragons.
They deserve most of this segment.
Do you think so?
Fuck me. I mean... Some of the tackles in that second half...
Or lack thereof.
Of lack of tackles was honestly so concerning. And to the point that, all right, we get it that you have no front rowers and you don't have it from the start of the season, but, to that extent, that was fucking in New South Wales Cup middle forward, play. Brayley was, literally looked like Cameron Smith.
Yeah, it's Dragons.
They were walking through them.
Do you remember in the preseason pod where you're I think the Knights pack's worse than the Dragons one.
Yeah.
And I almost walked off the set. This is what I envisioned from Dragons.
Yeah, no, but they haven't actually this was their worst. I've never seen the pack play this bad. Now, you got to add in...
What about last week?
At the start of this, without Sua, that's their best forward, right? So it's a bit shit already. And then Tuapolotu goes down, but there's no excuse, right? Holy shit, they were awful through the middle of the park. It wasn't even they didn't even get.
They weren't much better out wide.
No, but they weren't actually that bad out wide.
Now, that's through how incompetent Sharks.
Yeah, I know, but through the middle, bro. I'll tell you, this is what's concerning. If Dolphins played like this, like they did this week against them last week, and Dragons played like that, you could have seen 100.
Yeah, that could have been the first ever 100
That's how
score.
bad. Let's just address. That's how bad Dragons were. Because last week was 56. Dolphins scored, right? They could have literally got it up to 100 the way they played this week. That's how bad Dragons were in that second half.
So you're saying Dragons were worse this week than last?
Yeah,
irrespective of the scoreline.
Yeah.
So where does that put Sharks for you then?
Oh, mate, pretty dirt. But I know you guys have been missing upset alert, and I'm going to give you a quick teaser. It's coming. And it's next week, and it's on Sunday, and it's at Suncorp against the All Blacks. But because, like, Sharks, it's like a warming phase. I told you this on the day. They all warm up, right? First, they win, but don't cover. And then they go to the point of they win outright as underdogs, and then they go back, win as as a favourite, and win and cover the spread, and then they go back to square one, and then they lose again. It's all the same garbage. So this week was the week. And Dragons, you needed every fucking half point as you could get. Because these idiots...
The fact that...
what was that?
The fact that plus 12.5...
was in jeopardy.
For premium became a sweat in the last 5 minutes truly puts in position where Dragons are as a club at the moment. And the first half... I don't even think Dragons did anything that impressed me for 1%. It was just Sharks were fucking disgraceful.
Agreed.
And... the Hines drop ball into the Ramian sin bin, which you think was contentious, but he literally fell asleep.
No. That was not. Anyway, it's what happens when the momentum's against you.
And then Dragons score right before halftime, and you're like, well, we've seen scoring before halftime and what that does for teams evidently after fucking 10 minutes ago.
And then Nakora scores, and that's it.
As soon as Nakora scored, I was like...
12's in jeopardy.
They might need 20.5 to cover from here. And a little bit better execution from Sharks, and the 12.5 wouldn't have not been enough.
Well, literally, the Lawson saved a try on the right edge on Katoa, which I wouldn't give him much credit, but he saved the try.
I can't even picture, like... I can't even consider Dragons a real team with what they run out on a week-to-week basis.
They're genuinely in the conversation to come last. You need someone to give up.
Okay, listen.
And they've given up.
Don't worry about what's like happened so far in the season, or...
No, I'm worried.
Who's where on the ladder.
Anyone can come last.
No. If I'm power rating teams and everyone's playing each other tomorrow, I would have Dragons 17th. With what they're going out there and dishing out right now.
Would I put Cowboys lower?
From the Broncos game forward, this team's so bad.
Would I put Cowboys lower?
No, well, if Nanai and Dearden and all those cunts played this round, like who are Dragons missing? Sua, and that's it.
And Tua Pilato.
And
Val.
Okay, sure. You can have them.
And
They'd
Val.
be a bit better, for sure. But
No, but like...
The middles are the middles.
If Cowboys literally played everyone, they still would have lost by 30.
No, I don't think so.
They lost by... It was 56-4.
I know, but it got really hard for Cowboys.
50...
Well,
sorry, I undercooked at 58.
I don't want to do that review now. I want to get to it later, but from what I'm seeing from Dragons, this is scary stuff.
Well, they're not going to come last.
I'm at a point with Dragons where I think the bullshit dog wank wins are out of their system as well. I don't see them springing normally they'll catch a big skull.
It's not their time of the season. It has to be later.
No.
That's when they start winning.
I'm saying till the end of the year, these guys are horrible.
I haven't written you guys off yet, Zerafos brothers, but fuck me, you cunts were awful. Like, the fact that you got absolutely hammered by Dolphins and Flano only got one half of goodness out of you fucking pricks.
I'm actually surprised he got the one half.
I know, but he still managed to do it. The second half...
Sloan, like...
He's watching paint dry with these pricks.
Watching Sloan. So you deliberately decide not to catch 15 bombs in a row.
And he caught that one.
And then the one that Gutho's in front of you even sabotaged that. It's so bad.
Well, he has to play now because
in Bulldogs, this is scary hours. But on the other side, I think Sharks, there was not one redeeming quality about you cunts in this win. And you probably were one of the worst teams in a victory I've seen in a very long time. Yeah. And as far as your competition going forward, no reason for me to think that you're any closer to the top four than you were 4 days ago. So you can't need to wake up. And Hines, I'm sorry, but what do you do? Anyway, not much more to say about that one. So we move on to the thriller in Manila in Seabus Super Stadium. Shout out to Barnsey. Your team got a win after fucking God
Shout out
knows
to
how long.
Clarkie. They won one.
And it was a comprehensive win at that, and probably the biggest win of any team of this entire round. The Gold Coast Titans, believe it or not, held the team to 8 points, which I thought would break physics. And actually,
it did.
Won by 20 points in the end, 28-8. What was that second half? One try to Titans, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine being on overs. What did you take away from this one, Chrissy, which the Titans came out possessed? Well, they didn't really because they conceded in 2 minutes.
It's their time of the season, right? 12 and a half at home. This is classic Titans. This is exactly when I'd like to back them. And I was against it because I looked at Manly's lineup and I was like, oh my God. But the lineup doesn't mean shit. And
not in this sport.
Not in this sport. And Titans, like, at least showed some grit, showed some fight. They didn't give up on their season, which I've seen many times they have. But they didn't this time.
They should have, though.
And Titans, like... I mean, there's nothing good about you cunts. Let's just state facts.
No, there's something good about them.
No, they're still not good. Like, that first try to Garrick, if Manly were old, like, if Manly had any resemblance of what they did last year, from that point, I think they would have lost more than what Dolphins did to Cowboys.
It's possible, yeah.
Like, that was just piss weak. You just, like, let him walk through and slam the ball down. I was like, at that point, I was like, all right, Titans are dead.
I wasn't worried. But
Titans without Tino are like a top 8 team, apparently, and they come out possessed. And literally, it's just the defense on the inside from Manly again. And Manly will be, again, the topic of this conversation because,
all right,
thank God we threw them away last week because, fuck me, they're awful. I mean, those Jez to fucking Talkiaho, I'm not sure if he played.
He played.
To Ben Trebojevic, to Jake Trebojevic, sorry, mate. Bullymore.
Every forward not named Olakwatu
Holy
is
fuck.
Just disgraceful.
Like, no resistance whatsoever.
Rocky Croker, I'm sorry.
It was not as bad as Dragons, but Titans pack is nowhere near Sharks. So, like, you got to think of it that way.
Considering the opposition, you could argue it was up there. It's just as bad.
Because of the opposition, right? Not because of how it looked. But
like, you're playing the Tino less Titans and the Fodawaker less Titans forward pack.
And the David Fafita less Titans.
With Chris Randall at back row and Verrill starting and God knows who's coming off the bench. And you motherfuckers muster up 8 points.
At least score 40.
All right, you're talking about the defense. I'm okay, even to a degree, of
why can't they
going
score?
out there and conceding 28 points. You pricks had Garrett crash over in the 4th minute, and 76 minutes later, you have one more try, which was actually a copy of the same try.
Titans.
Garrett's just walking
they
through.
don't know how to score anymore.
With the spine of Cherry Evans, Turbo, Brooks. All the backline was intact. There wasn't no losers just stitching them up out wide. And after all that, you can't score one more try.
Well, I think honestly, I know you don't like this, but honestly, I think at some point Turbo has to move to center. They just don't have that dynamic. He doesn't have that anymore. And
I think right now he's playing injured.
I get it, but if he's injured, then he's got to play center.
Was it Turbo's fault that they only scored 2 tries?
They could, yeah.
Number one.
Well, when Hopoate played, they destroyed Broncos.
He didn't help them at all.
He didn't help at all.
Right? But it's fucking Titans.
Yeah,
you couldn't get one.
No. I can't say if Lehigh played this game, they probably would have been Titans.
Oh, come on.
They've destroyed Broncos with him.
Yeah, but even in the Broncos review, I was like, well, 5 of their 6 tries were off kicks.
Yeah, but they got the team actually looked better.
You could argue that.
Because, like...
I think they've lost, like, their soul.
They've lost it. They've lost it.
Lost
but that's where Seibold needs to fucking grow a brain, which I don't know if it's possible. He needs to make a change. And the change is to move Turbo.
No, that doesn't help them at all.
It doesn't not help them. He was useless.
That's not the answer, though.
Yeah, but he was... What is the answer then? We just give up.
They're finished, yeah.
Yeah,
they're done.
Well, they're not going to.
They're done.
We saw against Broncos, they actually don't intrinsically want to give up. Otherwise, they would have lost that game.
Nah, these guys literally gave Titans and Knights a wins.
I agree.
And you don't come back from that. I'm sorry.
No.
What's next? You're going to go give Dragons a win?
I 100% agree with that. But if Seibold actually thinks his playing group is playing for him, he needs to make a change. I would move Turbo to center, start Kohler or Lehigh fullback. Simple.
Okay, from halftime of the Knights game, they've lost 54-12 to Titans and Knights in 3 halves of footy.
Yeah.
With Cherry Evans, with Brooks.
Well, look, the first half, Knights were atrocious in that first half, right? But again, that was their makeshift fullback because Lehigh got injured straight away, like got HIA straight away. Bro, Turbo being there hasn't done anything for them the last month.
That's fine, but
That's not.
Okay, I'm not arguing Turbo's been good because he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
But Turbo aside, I expect more out of Manly.
No.
Come on,
I
boys.
expect more. But
What is this shit?
This team isn't built on defense. This team is built on their offense being their defense. The issue is they can't score.
Yeah, no.
So if that's the essence of the issue, yes, they lost the Titans, yes, they're not the night. But the issue is they can't actually put the ball over the line. You need to make a change. I would put Kohler to fullback, put Lehigh to wing, and put Turbo on the side.
They suck.
No,
They would suck.
No. I know they suck, but you have to make a change.
With Cole at fullback, they would literally suck.
No, I would put him there.
He's not a fullback.
It doesn't matter.
It does.
It does. They look better with him.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they ambushed Broncos once, and outside of that, even against Cowboys, they couldn't score. Cowboys scored 4.
Then you got to think of it. Okay, then I'll flip the other way argument. Put Lehigh fullback and get ready for the future because he's going to be the fullback.
I can entertain that more.
Well, then Lehigh goes to fullback and Turbo goes to wing.
Kohler, fuck no, but Lehigh. If you're gonna say, well, we're fucking terrible, so let's build for the future, I'm okay with that. But if you're saying we're terrible and we want to be good now, so let's put Lehigh fullback. That you guys.
Okay. Either or, it still means Seibold needs to grow the balls to change the team.
My thing is, you can't give Titans and Knights with these wins and continue thinking that you're anything.
No.
So you guys you're done.
They're done.
All right.
I'm not saying they're good.
Because you're done. Go and put fucking Lehigh to fullback.
Yeah,
I'm happy
and you
with
put
that.
Turbo on the wing.
Sure.
Because
Kohler, whatever. Like who cares?
No. Because Kohler has to play center. The fuckwit.
So you're gonna pay like.
No, you have to. It's the
so
future.
Bad. That's so bad.
No, I actually don't think it's bad. I think it will work.
Nah, Turbo wing. Fuck that. What's the point? At least from center, you can go free roam.
Promise you, note this on the podcast. If Seibold listens to this podcast or has the balls to put Lehigh to fullback and Turbo to the wing, I promise you they'll make the 8. From here.
Okay, let's say he does your master plan, and from next year they run out Fogarty, Brooks, Lehigh, and Lucky Croker. They literally won't make the 8 for like 10 years. If they run out Fogarty, Brooks, Lehigh,
and
Croker, they literally will miss the 8 for the next 10 years.
There's somewhere Marnie can go. I just thought of it. That would be gone. But I disagree.
They're literally getting hammered with Cherry Evans and Turbo.
I disagree.
Oh,
I genuinely think if they start Lehigh fullback from now, next year they'll make the 8.
They're lost cause.
I'm not. Look, they're done this year. They're not going to get anywhere. I had them top 4. I had them to fucking maybe make the grand final. That's fine. But in my eyes, if you guys still think you have hope, which we're sitting here, you don't. If you think you still have hope, you still make this change. It doesn't matter if you have hope or you think it in your way that you don't have hope and you're ready for the future. It doesn't matter.
Hope or no hope, you can make
it.
the change, but the underlying conclusion is you cunts are done for this year.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear about Manly for the rest of the season. I mean, Knights and Titans.
I like them.
Wake up. And what pisses me off about these cunts is what they did to the All Blacks 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, but
why didn't you just lose that 50-0 as well, you fucking morons? They held Broncos to 1 try to go and give Fletcher Sharp 5 tries in the second half.
It's the All Blacks.
And 5 more
They
tries
weren't
to
in All
Titans
Black.
with no players.
You're saying it yourself. They weren't in All Black.
I'm done. Like, if this was Cowboys or who else do we hate? Fucking Warriors or some shit. We would be like banging the drum and being like, wow, you guys suck.
Yeah.
And Manly deserve that.
No, they do. And we did that last week.
And to put the cherry on top, no fucking pun intended, but Hamoli dislocating his shoulder trying to put the ball down to will some points on the board for these cunts. Now he's perceived that best case scenario he's out for 6 weeks. Imagine what forward pack these morons are going to run out now.
Safe. You don't need a forward pack in this sport. Have you not seen them? Fucking, they beat Broncos with Haas and Carrigan with literally nothing. They beat Penrith without nothing.
Safe. You're not going to come on the podcast and argue that they don't need Olakau'atu. Come on.
No. Obviously not.
They're done. They're so done. And I'm really done with them.
Look, Manly fans, I know this cunts can put... I'm off you cunts probably 95%. There's a 5% chance I can see the best Manly come out of you
And
cunts.
you know what? All the Manly fans I've spoken to are like, I can't even cheer for these guys.
Keep your heads up, lads. Truly.
Don't give them hope.
I actually think Sharks are worse than them. Right now, I would take Manly. Sharks are beyond help. Beyond.
Way.
Because they no matter what, they have a ceiling of fucking Hines. That's it.
No, I'm sorry.
Manly possessed is the best offense in the comp. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Manly's offense is the best offense in the comp.
Manly's offense literally just scored 8 to tie.
No. I didn't say it was on. When it was on, They're the best offense in the comp.
I need it to be on against Knights and Titans.
Listen,
That'll be nice.
Don't keep your heads up. You're better than half of these fucking idiots. Because the competition is another team that's just made the 8 and want to celebrate like they fucking won the NBA championship. And I'm going to introduce this because fuck these cunts. I can't believe they won. Roosters, Knights. Over to you.
No, I'm not done with Manly.
What?
Look, this game in particular, like...
We already went through
Shout out to Matt. I can't believe how many times Titans just red carpeted Manly onto their trial in the second half. And to just watch set after set after set after set of them not scoring was... I couldn't believe my eyes.
I can't believe like that they only scored 8.
Because truly, Chris, if you just looked at the lineups before the game and saw 12.5, I would have laid it. If you thought of it like, well, Titans already are a disgrace to the fucking professional sports, and they don't have Tino and Fodawaker, and they're a disgrace with them, and Manly have everyone. They're blessed.
You got to think backwards in this sport. That's the problem.
That's where we came in clutch with Titans plus 12.5.
Truly, you came in clutch because I was off.
So by Thursday, we won on Dragons 12.5 and Titans 12.5 on the Friday. So we're doing doughies going into Saturday. Where shout out to J-Mass, shout out to Barnesy, shout out to all those all 3 Newcastle Knights fans out there. What a thriller in Manila you guys dished out. Probably the worst game of NRL I've ever seen in my life.
I want to say this. Look.
There was a point in this game, Chris, where I had 4 different group chats.
I want to sit here and take ownership for something.
Everyone simultaneously messaged me being like, this might be the worst game ever.
I want to sit here and take ownership. This was truly the worst best bet I've ever sent out in my entire life.
Well, this was my idea.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter if it's your idea. I pressed send.
No, it won.
Yeah, I feel sorry for anyone that listened to us because it was true. It won. But it was the most torture of all time.
Was it worth it? Probably not. I mean, wow.
But look, the only other thing I would have taken is Knights 1 to 12. And then I would have been much more in pain.
I would have been more satisfied with that.
No.
The only way you could have won and enjoyed that game is if you took unders.
Yeah, but...
That's it. Look.
Is there anything to analyse?
There's a lot to talk about. Full-time scoreline... 12-8. What a thrilling contest between Knights and Roosters. Where do you even start? I want to start outside of footy because I'm the only kind that comes on public forums and talks about this, but
Radley.
Somebody seriously needs to
this is ridiculous.
Tap Victor on the shoulder and tell him, look.
I thought Trent Robinson was the man of the people.
After 3 of his fucking players have retired from concussions, now he'll probably appeal the 11-day policy and see if we can run Victor out. Against fucking God knows who. Cowboys. We need him. Faketti's not good enough. So, all I'm saying is, truly somebody from the Roosters board, Cordner and Jake Friend need to get on a 3-way FaceTime. Victor's fucking family need to tap him on the shoulder and say, look, you've represented your country in England. You've won multiple premierships. There's no reason for you to ever fucking run out on that field again.
I 200% agree. This is a human that his life is literally in jeopardy because of what he's doing to himself. This
is scary. I don't even want to think about what his day-to-day life will look 20, 30, 40 years from now.
It was a Cat 2 and he failed, right?
No.
Oh, he got a Cat 2, came back and then failed again.
No, I believe from the symptoms of what he displayed, I don't think he partaked in the game again.
Okay, yeah.
Which
he shouldn't ever if he hits a head. Like, literally, if he hits his head, done. Good.
Yeah. So, I think that's 4 HIA tests and 2 fails this season alone.
Oh, my God.
And that's just too much. And it gets to a point where I physically am uncomfortable looking at the TV every time he, goes in for a tackle. And that's not a product that
you know what? It's always him as well.
I know.
I wish it would, not that I wish this upon every player. I just kind of is that a different Rooster? No, it's Radley.
Yeah, please, anyone but Victor, but it's him every time. And part of that is the way he plays the game. He's a hard on the shield sort of player, but you need to, take it out of his hands and get him out of the fucking sport.
All right.
For his own safety.
Let's just talk about this game.
All right, I'm done with Victor. This game.
I mean,
where do you start?
The first try, I genuinely sat there and were like, all right, this is typical Roosters being idiots.
Yeah.
How the hell... all right, Dylan Lucas, almost rep level player. He's playing out of his mind. But did you cunts not watch the Penrith tape?
Yeah, clearly
Same play.
In Origin rounds, they have one fucking... option is peg the ball at Lucas. They didn't even have Fletcher Sharp this time for you to be like, well, they might go out the back. They could have gone out the back to Fletcher Hunt, who's fucking nothing himself. And you cunts quit to Dylan Lucas 5 minutes into the game.
And then I was like, oh, no. We're in trouble here. And then they took the 2, obviously.
No. Well,
did they
they
miss?
took the 2 40 minutes later, Chris. You got to get in between what's happened in that entirety of the first half. Why did Roosters have 0 points at halftime, Chris? To go into the sheds against that Knights lineup 6-0. I'll tell you why. Because I can't remember one tackle in the 20 from these morons. And it wasn't through their inability of making meters with hit-ups or any garbage you want to call it. This team just never learns.
They don't, do they?
They never, ever learn. And it's actually slow torture watch. Like, I can imagine being a Roosters fan. You know, like, how they're going to fuck it up every week.
You know within 15 minutes how they're going to play the rest of the game. That's what's fascinating about these cunts.
Yep.
They're either going to be the most disciplined team, everything's okay. Otherwise, that's it. They're done.
Why did they lose the Roosters game, Chris? Why did they have 50 tackles conceded to the Raiders in their 20 and only 10 on the other side?
Kept dropping it.
Because they dropped it 100 times and they gave 100 penalties. What did they then go and immediately do after a bye in the Knights game?
Do it again.
They dropped it 100 times and they gave 100 penalties.
But what did they play?
But they played the literal inability to score Knights lineup. And I swear to God, I know I said Dragons would be 17th. This iteration of Knights would be 17th, right? Because
but this is not fair.
This is the only team in the history of the sport maybe that would have given Roosters that win.
Yeah, no. Look, but this lineup is like...
Yeah, the lineup's
lineup's
right?
awful.
Like, if they had...
Even if they had Sharp,
even if
they
just had fucking Fletcher Sharp and maybe give them Bradman and... Or not even Bradman, that's too much. They'd win easily. Give them, Tyson Frizzell, Leo Thompson, and Fletcher Sharp. They probably would have won by, 12.
Yeah, easily.
But it's just well, Fletch, the weird center that debuted scored, and then after that, did they even come close to scoring?
No. Neither team did. Until Roosters put two throws together.
Really, neither team did.
Ficetti of war.
And Roosters, I can't even say that you guys came out in the second half with any other approach to being disciplined or doing anything.
No, they did the same garbage.
Yeah, they did the same thing, and that's the real,
That's the concern.
Those Roosters fans that defend Robbo, how can you, how long's Robbo been at the helm? Over a decade?
Over a decade,
2013, he won the premiership. It's 2025. This is 13 years of ill discipline. Many players have come and gone. Many coaches have come and gone. Offensive, defensive coordinator. He's the one constant, right? And if they don't win off sheer talent and whatnot, it's just... Knights shouldn't have even been in the contest with these guys.
No, they shouldn't have.
Let alone you needed some horse shit try from Wong at the end to win. And that's really concerning.
Yeah, the forearm put down, which is all
just
good.
Disgraceful. So at a point where it got to 10.5, I was like, truly,
we should take Knights.
Through Roosters' own stupidity, we should take Knights because they'll probably allow them to hang around.
I think Roosters are out the window for anything more than -6.
-1 is hard with these guys.
No.
They'll allow golden point to anyone. But what I was thinking was, you should take Knights, but if Roosters just play 50% of their potential, they'll cover it anyway. So how about we just double our stake and we take money line because
isn't that a testament to Knights? Because they probably played 20%.
But you shouldn't lose to Knights, right? And we actually legitimately got the worst Roosters performance we could have possibly gotten, and they still won. So
off garbage.
So in my eyes, I actually don't think you can argue +10 was the right side.
Yeah, no.
Because how much more garbage could Roosters have played, and these guys still lost?
No, it wasn't. But are you really going to go lay 11 with these morons
against that Knights team? Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't think I can lay these big spreads with Roosters ever.
Well, can you lay anything in this sport?
No, you can.
If you're playing Dragons and Cowboys.
Yeah, obviously.
That's it.
But even that's the concern, right? They could have been playing Dragons and Cowboys, and they literally wouldn't have covered it.
Yeah, that Dragons team and the Cowboys team that have lost by 50 in the last 2 weeks, they would have been Roosters.
Well, you know what's crazy, right?
Maybe not Cowboys.
If Roosters played like that against Dragons who played this week, the first half Dragons would have literally been up 30-6.
Yeah.
And it was game over.
I know. This Knights team, through their own problems and injuries and suspensions, whatever, who they ran out, not even having Fletcher Sharp, they literally had nothing.
They needed to win this game because this is the testament of their season when everyone comes back and they go win 10 straight.
Yeah, I know.
But
now it could have been the start of a 10-peat.
Yeah.
Well, they had already won last week, right? So could they 2-peat?
Yeah.
It was too hard for them. And on the other side, Roosters, I'm seriously off this team because I know deep down I know how good this team can actually be. And unfortunately, Sam Walker got ruled out from his return with a broken thumb, so he's probably going to be out for 2 to 3 more weeks. But I can't even say that Sandon Smith and his mate Savala did anything wrong in this game because they just didn't even have the ball through their...
Yeah.
No one can need to Wase in the forwards.
He could have been there.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Marky Mark needs to fucking relax.
Yeah,
we get it. You offload.
Now, the funniest talking point is that Dom Young literally went to Newcastle and put all his belongings at Kyle Pierce-Paul's house to go and beat them, and now he's going to play for them 7 days later against Dolphins.
That's funny.
Which is hilarious.
See, this is where they needed to win this game. Look, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have Dom Young, Marju, Best, Gagai, Kalen, Fletcher Sharp.
Yeah. That's all right.
And then you're like, all right, they're not that bad anymore.
Yeah.
And all they needed was to win a few games. But fortunately, the league is so fucking close, it doesn't matter because they can still 10-peat. But it's just, I don't trust Adam O'Brien. So
yeah, at their very best,
they're actually
their
not
whole
bad.
17, they're actually all right.
Yeah, I know.
Roosters,
I'll take them over Manly full strength.
Same. Roosters, you guys had way too much. You ran way too much out there for this to come down to a Wong bullshit try at the end. That was. I think any Roosters fans, you guys can let us know in the comments. That was despicable.
They're out celebrating. They're in the A.
No, that was. I don't know who said it, but if neither team got competition points for this,
I would have been fine with it.
I would have been fine with that. That was an awful display of footy.
Shit performance.
And I think normally Origin round's actually kind of funny, but that left a really sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Because on a Super Saturday, normally you get footy at 3 p.m. We had cunts like us waiting for 5:30 to watch that, and I was like, "This is hard to watch."
Don't worry, 7:30 delivered.
7:30 delivered. Yeehaw! Oh God,
Where do you start?
where do you begin with Cowboys? You can have a go, I guess. Where do we start? Do you want to start with Yeehaw? Or you want to start with Finns? I feel like
Finns is the easier one.
Finns is deserving because they've actually backed it up 3 weeks in a row now.
Look,
how about we go to the Finns? Then
Finns were a Bostock sticky hands away from literally winning this game 64-4.
After winning the last game 56-6, and the game prior to that 44-12. These guys are possessed.
This offense is exactly what we said in preseason. And they're plugging everyone in at the moment, and it doesn't really matter. And it's all
that's annoying to me.
And you know what? It's all because of how good Katoa is playing.
Yeah, and
he is creating so much,
I know.
Getting so many people. And the issue with Dolphins, and this is exactly what we said at the start of the season, right? He drags in a few defenders of these idiot teams, i.e. Cowboys, and the backline scores. And that's all that's happening right now. It's just the backline just scores. They're just able to score.
Think about, we had Dolphins in our 8, right? We came on and we're like, look, the backline's good, don't get me wrong, but these forwards, Daniel Saifidi and Plath and Gilbert and Finney
Flegler, we assumed playing.
All 5 of those bums didn't even play on the weekend, right? So you're getting 50 balled every week with Keeley and Donahue and Kafusi, who's going to be out for 12 weeks now. And like you said, the forward pack's just become plug and play because for some reason, the lesser names, you're getting more orange out of the juice playing them. And that's actually awoken the fucking next coming of Jonathan Thurston.
Yeah.
And the backline from day one, if you give him some space and some time and you put him in a one-on-one situation, you know what? Averillo, Farnworth, Bostock, Asako, these are really hard players to handle. And you got 50 with Hammer, and now you got 50 without Hammer. Trey Fuller will probably be an option in a couple of weeks' time.
Well, where do you even put him?
How can you go and change a backline that's scoring more than 50 every round? You can't really, right?
Can't.
So shout out to Katoa, like Chris said, really has developed into a class halfback of the competition and his running mate, partner in crime. For all that we've laughed at him over the years, Nick Rima actually has been a gunfighter.
Yeah, no, he has been. He's getting out of his way and letting Katoa do his job.
Yeah. So
fuck me.
Yeah, Dolphins, shout out to you guys. I don't know what took you more on so long, but I did apologize to Riles, and now I guess I have to apologize to Wolf, which really annoys me because
they shouldn't be.
Why were you so? I said this last week, and it just furthers it because their differential goes up by 100 around. If you morons just won those stupid fucking games,
they're literally in the top 4.
Souths, Tigers, and who do they? Knights, who are literal dirt. You'd literally be probably where the Warriors and Raiders.
Well, they're 7-7. They literally will be in the top 4.
Yeah. Let's just say 2 of those wins, right? They go 8-4. That's fucking way better than where they are now. So,
it doesn't matter. They're 6th.
Did it take you more on some time to wake up? Yes, but when you woke up, did we see some fucking? I didn't see this coming.
Well, look, I didn't see this coming, but all this it also helps them when it gets down to it because it might get down to point difference, and these cunts at the moment are only, I think, 40 points behind Melbourne.
Yeah, which shows you where Melbourne are.
Melbourne. That just shows how fucking possessed they are. But if it comes down to point difference, UConn's going to be in there no matter what.
Yeah, so I don't know. Is there anything you want to see more out of Dolphins? Like, is there any part of you that's like they're just playing garbage sides?
Small part, but they've raped this dog side who just beat South, where we just watched. And Dolphins don't have scrub. Like, they have pretty... They're still good, but without Hammer, you got to add that in there. He's their best player at the end of the day. Really? But at the moment, Katoa is taking that throne.
I don't think it is Hammer anymore.
Katoa.
Hammer might not be in their top 3.
Well, Farnworth.
You got Herbie and Katoa, and then...
Farnworth is... Like, I wish the podcast was around when he was there, rookie. I said from day one, this kind is something else. Like, he's the best center in the comp right now.
Nah, he's not.
Well, Latrell.
You got Critter. He's better than Herbie.
I would love to see a Critter and a Farnworth battle.
He'd give him a bath.
He just doesn't have a bath. But he doesn't have the speed, mate. He doesn't have the speed.
He doesn't have the speed to guard Hammer either, but he does.
Yeah, I know, but that's Critter.
Nah, Critter's number 1, and then we can talk about number 2. I'd probably agree with you. It is Herbie.
Or Latrell.
Is he better than Stags? Yeah, big time.
Is he better than Latrell? Because he doesn't have the passing game like Latrell does.
No, Latrell's a better center.
Yeah, Latrell's a better center. No, okay, so he's third. Yeah, third. But like for this team, like he's just able to like any one-on-one situation, you're fucked.
Yeah, he's a gun.
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's a fucking gun.
And the inside is doing enough through Katoa, through their forwards, like running good lines, and once it gets to outside backs, they're just too good. And Cowboys, let's get to them. I genuinely think they've given up.
It seems that way.
Like, they're coming last.
First of all, these bookies need some help.
This should have been 12.5.
Who the fuck opened this at Pick'em? First of all, that was insane. And then, why was there pushback to make stabilize this at 5.5? Have cunts not been watching Cowboys?
They've watched Drinkwater.
I watched them on the weekend. How'd it go for them? They were horrible.
If there wasn't the other 2 fucking games, truly they were the worst out of all of them.
Okay, look at Cowboys, right? They were despicable.
But if they all played, they still would have lost.
They would have lost anyway.
Yeah.
But if they all played, they probably would be favourites.
Yeah, they would have lost.
Like, what's Dearden, Cotter, Nanai? What are they worth in a point spread? More than 5.
Yeah.
Right?
But let's say Hammer played. It would have been Pick'em.
Let's say Pick'em. They would have lost by 30.
Yeah, they would have. Yeah, they can't. Even if they scored, the way they're defending, it doesn't matter if they were there or not. They would have scored anyway.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm telling you.
What do you have to see from Cowboys to wake up and be like, these guys are horrible?
Look, Todd Payten, we kind of praise him a little bit because he has to deal with this garbage. And it's not actually his fault. I genuinely think Labour can't play another game.
Yeah, I know.
He looks atrocious.
Yeah. Well,
he literally got bathed by fucking...
Yeah.
Like, wasn't he on Max Fine's side?
Yeah, it's bad.
The shit side. And Valamai...
I don't think he played.
Who was playing center?
No, Valamai was suspended, which was part of my preview that we didn't get to do.
So who's playing center?
They're just making it up as they go, right? But
Braden Burns.
Oh, God. How long he came back didn't really matter. Look, is there part of me that kind of feels with them in this specific round? Because they ran into a buzzsaw that put 50 on Dogs and put 50 on Dragons and made them look like fucking speed humps on the field. Yes. They lost Dearden, Nanai, Cotter, Robson. Tamalola gets scratched in the warm-ups. You already don't have players. And it all got too hard for you guys, and I understand.
Yeah,
but you don't let it... I'm going to say that Dolphins got to 64 because Old Man just dropped it at the end for no reason. He didn't want 5 tries. He was happy with 4. But that's like enough for me to excuse 40-10, not fucking 64-4.
No,
with that, there was no sin bin. There was no send-off. It was just a normal game of footy that you guys lost by 50.
Look, what did you just say? You said, okay, all of them there and Hammer plays, this would have been Pick'em. Dolphins still didn't have everyone.
Yeah, I know.
Can you imagine this team with Daniel Saifidi, Gilbert, and Plath?
Yeah, I know. They'd destroy them.
Like, so to your point, what you're saying is, okay, they were all out, so I give them a little... No, I don't. Because it's not like the Dolphins boys, but regardless it was injury or origin, they didn't play either. They literally had Keely and Co.
No, but we're saying they're literally better with Keely and Co.
They literally had Keely and Donohue playing hook.
I know. Maybe they should have done that from round 1. They'd be fucking first.
Francis Molo got his revenge. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But... I mean, like, Dragons had players. They lost by 50.
Dragons are their own entity.
Dogs had enough to not
lose by 50. This Cowboys team is literally in the 8 right now.
They can't be.
No, I don't think they are now. Surely not.
This Cowboys team. I really struggle to think, like...
Why people think they're good?
Call me butthurt, but when we took Raiders at Pick'em at North Queensland, why did we lose that? Look how awful these guys are.
Yeah, well, Raiders had to lose.
Drinkwater, it was fitting that you captained the side that lost 65-0. So, yeah.
Spineless player.
I'm spineless player, spineless team. And Cowboys...
They play Roosters.
How do you, like...
Well, they play Roosters.
How do you run it, like... How do you even try for the rest of the year after what happened
Well, they
to
have
you guys?
Roosters there. That's a free... You know, if they don't want to try, Roosters will let them try. Give them opportunity to try.
It's early sneak peek. I think Roosters can put 40 on these losers.
Why, they're going to get raped again?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I think they might get raped for the next, like, 6 rounds in a row.
They're going to give up?
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, not much more to say about that one.
There's not much to say about the last game.
The last game, shout out to Matt, Chris Creas, Bitcoin in the crowd. Shout out to the
He didn't go to Perth?
No, he's there. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I was going to say.
They had the private jet ready for him. Okay, Gus's private jet was
No,
ready
they
to
had
pick
to
him
take
up
Kiraz as
in
well.
case Kiraz came off with a HIA. But yeah, South's covered and lost for literally no reason. Shout out to all the boys on -7.5. Probably
lads.
One of the dumbest losses of the year, but our only loss of the round because
Four and
we're on the Dolphins line, we were on the Roosters money line. The first two we won, and when
We'll have to lose one.
when you're in that rhythm where you just anything you're touching wins, sometimes these losses just come out of nowhere. And here comes Tyrone Munro out of nowhere with 2 minutes to go for these guns to cover and lose. It happens at 18-0. I thought, had it not been for the weather delay and the existence of Turpin, probably gets carried on.
And the knock-on, that was the try, apparently.
It probably would have carried on to like 30-something nil. Dogs had multiple disallowed tries that became 12-point swings the other way. The penalty count was 11-3. The sin bin count was 1-0. There was a stoppage in play that saved Souths. We had Turpin. and Taff had an interchange card on his hand at some point of the game.
He came on, remember when they went through and he couldn't run?
Taff literally looks like a Mack truck on the field. What kind of outside back are you? So in saying all that, the Bulldogs win this game by 6 points. I feel like 9 times out of 10, if they replayed this game, Dogs would cover the spread, but wasn't meant to be on this occasion. Chris, what did you make of the actual game? Punting aside. It's
just a rubbish game, to be honest. Dogs did enough to win, and they always seem to do it. Like, they're the Warriors, they're the original Warriors, actually. They're the first Warriors. They always just do enough to win, and they did enough today. Again, I want to say it 1,000 times. Look, Sexton, like, I get it, you love him, but wow, he creates nothing offensively. Like, any time they actually look like scoring is when Galvin got the ball. Galvin was hitting the line. But fuck me, he's just useless out there, to be honest. I know he kicks the ball long, but you have Burden. Like, you don't need that shit. So, look, I know Dogs fans are going to defend him. Like, their life depends on it. They have to have Sexton there, but truly get him out. Marnie also does some stupidity every now and again.
I think of the 11 penalties, Turpin might have had 5 and Marnie might have had 6.
Yeah, like Marnie, look, he's already leaving the club, so they actually made the
shit.
right decision there. Is Hayward going to fill in his shoes from, like, service from dummy half? Probably not, but they're going to teach him. Definitely don't put Turpin in there because fuck me, he's awful.
Man.
Kurt Mann could have been okay. We'll see if they do that. But Souths, on the other hand, are truly atrocious. But I think this is the game where you should say they did have a lot of outs. And I think even if it was Origin and Latrell wasn't playing, if you have Cody Walker and you have who else was out? Brandon Smith, essentially.
Come on.
And Campbell Graham.
Yeah, that would help.
Like,
they still suck.
They wouldn't win this game, but it would result like this. I reckon, like, to be honest, this was the result if all the South boys played outside of Latrell.
Yeah, but you got to take into consideration who Dogs were missing.
Yeah, well, Dogs obviously...
Run out Critter and Burden and Max King and shit. They would lose by 100. Like they did on Easter Monday, right? So that's fair.
That's fair. South obviously got all the garbage. The first try, I think you need to review that again, Bunker. And tomorrow we're going to get the report that it shouldn't have been a try because fucking Tallis Duncan touched it on the way up. But... doesn't matter because it's 4 points on the board and essentially they covered because of that try. If that was a no try, they score some garbage, they still lose by 10 and we Bob's the on call and we got 5 out of 5.
That probably should have been the result.
But
anyway.
That's just not how it folded. You know, we went 4 in a row. Truly, are we that good to go 5 in a row? No. So it was like the NBA.
Well, we could have gone 6 in a row, mate. Because
if it was NBA... It's like the NBA. We won the first 3 games taking either side and finally we take the other side and guess what? That doesn't happen. So... you can't win them all, but premium. I keep saying premium. The best bets in June, honestly, are flying.
Yeah, we're on fire, man.
We're absolutely on fire. So if you guys haven't joined, you guys make sure you join because fuck me, we're absolute nuts. especially Roosters head-to-head
Yeah,
at $1.30. It was really riveting.
We haven't had a losing NRL
you went
round
a run.
for like 6 weeks. So
Since you came back from a run.
imagine how much degenerate results happen on a weekly basis, and we're in profit fucking for a month and a half straight on this garbage sport.
Well, we could have taken all the idiots and still done really well.
No,
we were this close to taking Knights.
I know. But we won on that game anyway, right?
But it would
if I had
have been
truly
entertaining.
taken South and won on the line, I would have felt like that was a bullshit win that I didn't deserve. So
Well,
I can live with that.
Well, actually, if we took
South
every
suck
moron,
ass.
we would have never going to take Cowboys.
No, they were.
We would have
I'm-
won on every game.
I'm not sure I would have taken Cowboys at 10.5, let alone 4.
Think about that. Literally every game. If you took the moron, they won. From Dragons to Knights to Titans to South, except for Cowboys.
Well, that's the story of the whole year, really.
Fuck me. That's
But
fucked.
what was interesting was this round was the cover and lose round between Dragons, Knights, and Souths.
See, it's churning. So what did I tell you about teams? They week to week. Now, the underdog doesn't win anymore. They cover and lose. Which means, you know what the next step is? The favourites are going to start covering soon.
Yeah.
Except for Wednesday night.
Any other comments on Souths?
Not really.
not really much
There's
to
not
say.
much. I think they're pretty good when they get everyone back.
Same.
But are they going to have enough to make the 8? Would I take them over Roosters full strength? Yes. 100%. Because I know Roosters will play like idiots.
I would take Souths as well. If you give him, which unfortunately he's not going to play the whole fucking year, but
Campbell.
if you give him,
Cam Murray, bro, that would 100%.
Cam Murray, Campbell Graham, and Latrell to what ran out on the weekend, and you fuck Sullivan off and play Humphreys and Cody Water, that's a different outfit. They would actually fucking make
Campbell,
some noise.
Graham, Wyden, Johnson, Monroe, like now that he's back, bro, it's actually a really good
That's
team.
really good, yeah.
And under Wayne, like, these countries don't give up, except last week. But they don't give up. So I still think they're okay. Dogs just keep going on. They're going to finish in the 4.
Speaking on Dogs, you know what? You guys love Sexton so much. I thought he was actually really good today. And I also thought that Hayward was a fucking gunner on the field as well. And if you guys are going to defend your life with Sexton, sorry, Burton. You're a Dally M center, aren't you?
Oh, God.
Sorry, Montoya. If tomorrow Montoya broke his leg in half and
Burton will play center.
No, and you had to play Blake Wilson for the rest of the year, do you think any Dogs fan would even give a shit?
No.
But as soon as it comes to Sexton, now the entire world's collapsing. So I would rather expend Montoya than Sexton, and I would go Jerry wing, Burton left center, and I would keep Sexton and Galvin because they actually look really good together. And then
I kind of just want Sexton dropped. Just
I know
so
you
like
do, I know.
these cunts can just like
but
wake up.
truly, Sexton's actually been really, really good.
Yeah, but Galvin and Burton it's Galvin and Burton.
Well, you can keep Burton.
No. I don't actually trust Critter. I don't trust Burton at center.
I do.
can't-
Bro, him and Kick out next to each other. We've seen that before. Fuck me.
And Galvin inside. That's fucked.
I know. I'm thinking about it. Sleep on it. You tell me how you feel by the next preview.
Next one, drop Tracy. Fuck it. Put Burton fullback.
Put Montoya fullback. Anyway, lads, appreciate the love and the support. We are going to go straight immediately into recording the Origin preview, which will be released
I already gave
a few
you
hours
insight.
after this review. For those of you that enjoyed, you let us know in the comment section.
I'm
Waz
sorry
fans,
there's no Waz.
I'm sorry there was no Waz, but
They're back next
we're getting
week.
ready to lay 82.5 against Milky, who's coming to town with no players around him. For those of you...
Ivan might not even go.
Ivan, no, he's staying in Perth as well. It's father and son day there. Anyway, peace out, guys. Chat to you in the Origin preview. Let's go, Queensland.